Welcome to the April 25th, 2024 Public Board, Southampton Public Board public hearing. We will, in the absence of the chair, I will call the roll. Craig Catalanato.
Present.
George Mutu.
Present.
George Neely.
Tom Neely.
Tom.
Present.
Tom. Kate Fulham is on a temporary leave. Chair LaFaro is here. Vice Chair Finity is absent. Secretary Gloria Burke is absent. We do have a quorum, so please join us for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to start in order of the agenda, number 1 being 64 Lewis Road. And we have sufficient notice, Council?
We do, Madam Chair.
Tom?
I'll read the public notice. Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the pre-application entitled 64 Lewis. The application is for a 3-lot subdivision of a 258,365 square foot parcel currently improved with a 1-family dwelling situated in the CR 80 zoning district, the Central Pine Barrens compatible growth area, the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, and the Agricultural Overlay District, located at 66 Lewis Road in East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-288-1-54.
Thank you, Tom. Come, please. And are you Pam Hunt?
Yes.
Okay, please. Just give us an overview of the application.
Okay, we have a 6-acre, approximately 6-acre lot. It's actually bigger than 3 2-acre lots would be.
Is that it, Seth? Is that
Yes.
it?
Yes, there it is. Okay. The square footage of each lot exceeds the 80,000 square feet that's required for a 3 2-acre lots. And there's no roads need to be put in. We don't need a variance of any kind. We're completely compliant as far as the zoning and the town code. It's an overlay district, and the aquifer is taken into consideration here because of being in the Pine Barrens overlay district. We have it's country residents, of course, and the lot sizes are, as I said, over 80,000 square feet. We have already permission from the Suffolk County Water Authority for water for the 2 lots that are not developed yet that we are asking for. There's one already that has municipal water. We're putting in Health Department approved IA systems for the septic, and we have electric already in place. So basically, we also have roads on either side. Excuse me. Now, we are designing it so that egress will be out onto Damascus so that we don't have to have additional people going, traffic on Lewis, which is busier. And the lots are going to be along Damascus.
Do you have the site plan you could put up?
I can look for it,
On the
certainly.
screen?
I can certainly look for it. You'll have to bear with me. It'll take me a moment.
So you have considerable clearing restrictions on this property.
That's
because
right.
it's the Aquifer Protection Overlay District.
We have 35% is the maximum on lot 1, and then 25% on lot 2 and 3 because they're slightly smaller. And we have designed the building envelopes so that that's how much clearing we will have. And there's quite a bit of native growth on the rest of it. The lot number 1 was done before the, the restrictions. So we're having it evaluated, and if it doesn't have enough, we are
That's it, sir.
bringing in more native plants.
You'd revegetate it.
Yes, we're definitely doing that. We're just waiting for the engineer to just determine what kind of plants is already there. A lot of it, like native grass, is it's not trees. It doesn't have to be trees, it just has to be native plants. So we spoke to Martyrs, and we're waiting for the list from you for what kind of native plants are required.
So the one existing house would stay?
Yes.
And then the other 2 lots
Are
would be
gonna have
developed?
one house on each, right,
Right.
single family.
And what are the elevations like in this property?
They're on the,
It looks like it goes higher to the.
It slopes from
east.
Lewis Road back towards
Right.
Damascus and through the south, it looks like, yeah.
Sorry, excuse me.
You have a 50-foot wide scenic easement, is that on your property?
it's actually on lot number 1, and it goes all the way across.
Across the lot too also.
Right.
But
And that was put in by it was there when we acquired the
Oh, so
property.
it's an existing unit now?
That's right.
Because I noticed that you have portions of what appears to be a driveway.
That's right, that's all in the deed. And it's a little bit of an encroachment there, but that's also part of, that's been allowed by the town when we bought
So
it.
that will remain where?
Yes,
where-
everything is staying exactly the same.
50-foot
We're not
wide
making
easement.
any changes.
That's an encroachment zone, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Is there anyone who would like to speak to this application? Is there anyone on Zoom, Kevin? No? For this application? Okay.
We can't hear you.
Okay, how about now?
That's good. Make it goose it a little bit.
Okay, am I coming across okay?
You are. Give us your name.
So just the one comment that I have is that,
Can we have your name, please?
oh, yeah, I'm George Chris.
Okay.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay. So, the one comment that I have is, although the presentation it seems to have been made to emphasize that there are no changes. I've heard that stated a couple of times. It does appear there's one material change, and that is that the homes are gonna start using Damascus Road as their main means of egress. At least that's what it sounded like to me, and in fact, the presenter stated, and I wrote this down, so people don't go onto Lewis Road, which is busier. So unless I'm incorrect in what I heard and how I interpret that, That's a material change because the homes currently are not using Damascus Road. Well, the current home that's on the property is not using Damascus Road as a means of egress. So not only would that home and its residents start using Damascus, but the two new homes will begin using Damascus instead of, yes, I agree, the busier Lewis, but that will dramatically change the traffic and also the complexion of Damascus Road, which is very quiet. There's only a handful of residents that currently live on Damascus Road. And so it would seem to me that that needs to get discussed and maybe analyzed in a little more detail.
Do you live on Damascus Road, Mr. Chris?
Yes, I'm a resident on Damascus, and my neighbors on Damascus are also, you know, we were very keen on understanding this part of the proposal. And unfortunately, I was hoping to be present and to hear that, you know, there wasn't going to be a use of Damascus. But the fact that now it is proposed that Damascus be used, which I can understand. Damascus is a quiet, private road. It's a dead-end street. But
Okay, well, it'll be all be taken under review when we review the application.
And also,
No,
lot
just
number.
just speak to us, please.
Oh, lot number 2 is, there's no way they can access Lewis because there's lot number 1, which goes out to Lewis and is going to continue to go out to Lewis. Lot number 2 has to go out to Damascus. Lot number 3, if we put it out onto Lewis, it's going to disturb a lot more of the vegetation. So it's just 2 driveways for 2 houses. And there is a lot more traffic on going out onto Lewis, and none, very little going out onto Damascus. And it's, you know, it's 2 families, and that's all.
Did you hear that?
I do. I mean, how many?
There are two houses that will be exiting onto Damascus. The original house will continue to exit onto Lewis Road. There's no way for Lot 2 to get out to Lewis Road, just geographically. And the lower lot, if it exited Lewis Road, they would have to remove vegetation, and they are in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, which restricts clearing. So that's the logic behind
Under
the,
the current proposal, if I'm understanding it correctly, isn't there a lot of vegetation that is, you know, original to the property and indigenous to the area that's going to be disturbed anyhow?
No, it's only 25% on lot 2 and 3.
So if, in fact, if you want to pull up the overhead photograph that was, you know, presented earlier, all of that vegetation that is along Damascus Road, it's beautiful vegetation. So I assume if you're gonna put 2 new homes in those lots, right, invariably they're gonna have, you know, a semicircular driveway in front of those homes. You're gonna be knocking out a lot of beautiful pines that are part of the pine barrens.
they need to comply to the Aquifer Protection Overlay by code, by town code.
Which
And
is,
that's the regulation. So what they can cut is restrained.
and all we are going to need is the 25% we're allowed for the building envelopes and on the houses that are going to egress onto Damascus. We already tried, you know, we've designed it that way. And the remaining, on lot 2 and 3, the remaining vegetation is going to be adequate for how much has to be there on the,
Okay.
by the rules.
Are there any other questions from
No.
anybody on the board? Okay, your comments are noted. Thank you, Mr. Chris.
Okay.
Maybe just one more question. So Damascus is a private road?
No, it's a town
No,
road.
it's a public road.
It's a town road.
I mentioned it. So the vernacular for private road versus the
This is a town road.
town road
Yeah.
has different connotations.
That's
So
right.
if it's a private road, it'll be road, but if it's a town road, then you're certainly entitled to.
That's
stuff
right.
like that.
There's no,
Right.
there are no private roads.
Okay, so we can close this with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by George, second by Craig, all in favor? Opposed,
Very good.
objections? Four-
Yes.
4 in favor, 3 absent. Thank you very much.
you.
Okay, 225 and 251 Butter Lane LLC. George, you want to read that into the
Sure.
record?
Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the site plan / special exception application entitled 225 and 251 Butter Lane. The application is to develop the subject properties post subdivision approval with 4 self-storage buildings having a total gross floor area of approximately 158,700 square feet, 2,570 square feet of outdoor storage area, and 92 parking spaces on a total of 4.7 acres, situated in the LI 40 zoning district, Aquifer Protection Overlay District, and New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area, located at 225 and 251 Butter Lane in Bridgehampton. Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 900-52-1-36.13 and 36.15.
We have a jurisdiction.
We have sufficient notice, sorry.
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. I know you asked that I sit, but I think it's easier if I can point to the
Okay.
map here.
Sure.
So when we were last here, we were discussing the subdivision of what is currently 2 parcels into 3. As you may recall, we needed a variance to do that, and we obtained that variance, and we had the hearing before this board 2 weeks ago, and was left open for a 10-day written comment period. We're not aware of any comments that were obtained in that 10-day period. We're here today to consider the next stage of that application, that being the site plan and the special exception approval. The total site is 4.6966 acres, and it's being divided pursuant to subdivision by this board, again with a variance from the zoning board, into 3 lots. Post-subdivision, the applicant is proposing 4 self-storage buildings having a total gross floor area of approximately 158,700 square feet and 2,570 outdoor square feet of outdoor storage. Specifically on Lot 1, you'll have 1 2-story building, approximately 48,000 square feet each. Lot 2, 1 2-story building of approximately 28,000 square feet with that approximately 1,400 square foot outdoor storage area. And Lot 3, a 2-story storage building of approximately 31,000 square feet. When we were discussing the subdivision, you may recall, we needed relief for frontage, as this flagpole here is only 10 feet when required by code is 20. And the chair had concerns that that would be too narrow at an access point. As you see, the site plan calls for a much wider access point, not married to the flagpole. So there'll be an easement over this lot and this lot for access to all 3. Would you like me to go through the special exception standards? I submitted a letter going through them. If you want me to go through it at the hearing, I'm happy to.
I don't think so. I think we'll go through them during the application. I do have a question about
Sure.
that 10-foot access and then the driveway. Are you going to have sufficient circulation within the parcel for some of the larger trucks? And I think you mentioned you were having boat storage, so getting boats in and out?
Of this, and with this access point here, yeah, that has been accounted for. Brian, did you want to talk to internal circulation?
No, when you say the access to the north onto your property, is that
That's a right-of-way over here.
between you and the other self-storage place?
Well, this is a right-of-way adjacent, is there another self-storage there? Yeah, just adjacent to that, yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, 2331 Montauk Highway, attorney with Mr. Benacasi for the applicant. Circulation is not a problem because circulation also has to comply with all fire codes, so they need 24 feet of swing and circles on any of the turns to access in and out of anywhere, so that's more than sufficient for any of the, like if you were using a U-Haul vehicle to bring stuff to your self-storage, or in the event that any of the outdoor spaces are used for a boat or something like that. Obviously, the size limitation of a boat or something would be limited to the size of the space there. So, for instance, the spaces, I believe, are about 20 feet deep, 22 feet deep, where we propose that outdoor storage. So you'd be limited to a boat trailer that would only be 22 feet. So you wouldn't have a 50-foot boat, for instance, stored there because it wouldn't fit into the spot. So by design, there's also a limiting factor of the size of something that would be stored outside, as well as the trucks that would bring anything to self-storage, as well as the in excess of 25 feet of passageway for emergency vehicles, fire trucks, or the vehicles that would be coming and going. In addition, in addition to the 24 feet of roadway, there's also loading areas which would extend that further. Not that you're driving in the loading areas, but you'd be parked in the loading areas. So if you see the gray hash is the loading areas around the building, that is not accounted for in the vehicular lanes of travel. So you actually have additional space, not that you want to use that, but that would be available if someone was parked. You wouldn't have a blockage or anything like that. And we kept access on Butter Lane down to ingress and egress on one area. The buildings and the complex would operate from one office, so there would be an employee there, which is out of the office here. That's the only building that has an office for all the complexes, so we're limiting the amount of coming and going traffic to people that would be tenants renting there.
You have a
Par-
security gate?
We do.
Where is that?
The security gate is shown, it's set back between the buildings, not on the front. So all the parking in the front, the security gates are on the site plan set back, so you don't see that from the road. The front was landscaped pursuant to the comments we received from this board throughout the way. All the parking, we limited parking on the west side, which is the frontage of Butter Lane. And the parking is all stacked to the sides of the buildings so that the streetscape on Butter Lane and in conjunction with the buildings, they're not the traditional metal steel buildings. We have these buildings built with hip roofs because there's flat roofs for a solar opportunity on there, but all the dimensions from the street have hip roofs, so they appear to be pitched, similar to other residential buildings on that street. They're all finished with board and bat and cedar shake, so they're not industrial-looking buildings from the streetscape, as well as from the side. So the sides of the buildings have also been clad with clapboard and cedar shake, as well as on the roofs. So you're not seeing an industrial image as some of the other buildings that you see there now, including the storage that's to the rear, which you wouldn't see after this project, but the buildings to the south, the buildings to the west across the street, were all built in that time where there were metal buildings. So these buildings are fabricated with a metal skeleton, but then finished with housing material, which I would call it for that. And you'll see front roofs and rear roofs, and inside of that is an opportunity for solar or otherwise to have that. The windows were added to make it more look residential and agricultural in the area, to not look as monolithic sides and just tall buildings.
So you've got the two access points, one on Butter, one on the private right-of-way?
This is just an extra this would not be regularly used access, it's just additional access or emergency access. All the public access and all access will come through here. So that's how that's set up. The other thing over here is part of, it's a right-of-way that 5 different property owners have access over.
And you have the documentation to that,
On that
for
one?
that easement.
Yeah.
And the fire department probably likes that. They generally like two
They like
access
2, and
points.
that was part of putting it in there. It wasn't
Right.
so that's only gonna be used for that
Right.
purpose, and
Right.
that's what that was put on there. But all access for people coming and going from the facility will be off of here,
Off of there.
with sufficient setback, sufficient screening
Which is
from the
the
street.
24 feet or something there?
Yeah,
the
it's
driveway?
2.5 lanes of travel there
Okay.
to come and go on that.
And the outdoor storage, is that covered or?
It's uncovered. Nope.
It's
It's just,
uncovered.
yeah, so the outdoor storage you'll see here from the different, is back here, and, sorry, the gray shaded area, that's treed and shrub. So it's all to the east of the property, which would be the rear of the property farthest from Butter Lane. All of the other spots here are car parking spaces based on the parking calculations.
Will that
in the
just be
code.
one level of outdoor storage? I mean, I've seen some places where they
No,
stack.
it's paved, it's paved on the asphalt with just
Right.
lines, so there's no roof covering it, and there's no
And it's not
stacking.
a
No.
No
stacked type.
stacking.
It's not
No,
tiered.
there's no
Tiered,
tiered parking, not like in the city, if you saw like a parking garage, an exterior parking garage where they have
Where they
like lifts. There's
lift
none of
up a
that.
boat and put
There-
another boat
there-
under it or something
no.
like that?
So
Okay.
all the boats are stored on their own trailers. So
Okay.
you're looking at like 18, 19 foot.
Yeah, they have to be wheeled, they have to be able to be driven in and out, so,
Okay, but you're not blocking.
No.
Yeah, 'cause you
No.
need a forklift.
nope, none of that. And we would file a covenant, we're not looking to have any of that. It was
And
just,
we'll review it at a later date, but drainage and all of those details.
everything's, yep.
Because you've got a swale that
Everything.
comes right down that street. with the
Contain
road.
all of our runoff for a 2.5-inch rain event for the buildings, for the
3
property. So everything is
And change to
calculated.
3 inches. A 3-inch rain event.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going with the old code, but it has, everything has been updated and submitted to Houghton
Okay.
and reviewed.
Any more questions from
No.
us? Is there anyone on Zoom, Kevin? No, and no one in the audience who wishes to speak to this?
So I do have one quick question.
Sure.
Sorry, Jackie.
Yep.
So you said the roof, so the hip roof is more fascia, it's a flat roof really with the size of it has a,
Yeah, the original comments when we came before this board where they wanted to look more like housing or building on it, yeah,
and then you do intend to put solar on the flat portion of the roof?
correct.
Great.
And with the hip roof, you won't see it from any
Yeah.
dimension on that.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for a 10-day written comment period. Close it by George and second by Tom. All in favor? Opposed, abstentions? 4 in favor, 3 absent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just for the chairman, just as a comment from the last time, we're complying with the removal of it. So if anyone's driven by the site lately, most of the,
The mountain is down?
yes. So,
Oh.
though you were going today, but it is down.
I'll
So,
drive by tomorrow and take a look.
you got it. So, it's almost all the way out, but the whole mountain that you see from the street is
Okay.
gone. So,
Good.
Yep.
Thanks for being of your word.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
have a good day.
Thank you.
254 Tuckahoe Lane, do we have, council, do we have proper notice?
We do, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Craig, you want to read?
Please
that?
take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, April 25th, 2024, at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the pre-application entitled 255 Tuckahoe Lane. The pre-application proposes a lot line modification transferring 4,200 square feet of land from the applicant's parcel to their southerly neighbor at 246 Tuckahoe Lane, creating 2 lots of approximately equal size, measuring 23,093 square feet and 23,861 square feet, situated in the R15 zoning in the archaeological sensitive area located at 255 Tuckahoe Lane in Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-129-1-44.1.
Great, thank
Good
you.
evening. Good evening, Rachel Davy of Davy Law for the applicant.
Okay, just give us an overview of your application, please.
Sure, so these are 2 friendly neighbors. There was a prior application that was pre-approved by the board back in 2003. Unfortunately, some of the contingencies in that approval were never fulfilled, and so we are submitting our application again today. My client, the applicant, would like to transfer 2,400 square feet of their property on the southerly portion of their property to their southerly neighbor to be used for their driveway purposes. And so that would allow them to facilitate additional access to their property, and it would not disrupt my client's property or their access. That transfer would be 4,200 square feet, running westerly to the southerly, to the easterly side of the property on the southerly end of the property. So it's the full scope. It's kind of like a wavy line. If you could see it, it's like a sliver of land.
So you're just kind of straightening the
Straightening the line, yeah. Right now, it's not so straight. It would conform with the northerly neighbor. They have a nice, straight, even line. And it's pretty simple application. Not much else other than that, just modifying the lot line.
Pretty straightforward. Any other questions? Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this application? No one in the audience? Anyone on Zoom? Kevin? Okay, so we will close this with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by Craig, second by George, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor and 3 absent. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Number 4 is Charlotte Lee Smith. Do we have proper notice, council?
We do, Madam Chair.
We do. We do.
Take care.
Good evening. For the applicant, James N. Hume, Kelly and Hume, PC, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton
Do we
Beach.
have to read it in?
Oh, sorry, yes, we have to read it.
Oh,
into
that's
the
right.
record. Oh, you
Just
can
read
read
it.
it. You read it.
Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, April 25th, 2024, at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the pre-application entitled Charlotte Lee Smith. The pre-application consists of a standard plan with 2 undersized lots. Lot 1 measuring 24,178 square feet, Lot 2 measuring 28,773 square feet, situated in the R40 zoning district in the archaeological sensitive area located at 142 South Road, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-356-2-15.
Good evening. As indicated, we're seeking a 2-lot subdivision of a property located at 142 South Road in West Hampton, which is currently 52,951 square feet and is located in the R40 district. The property is improved by a single-family residence in the south end of the property, a swimming pool central to the property, and a structure to the rear of the property, which at various times in the past has been used as a residence, as a cottage, and I think more recently is CO'd as an accessory apartment on the site. We're seeking lots that are approximately 24 and 28,000 square feet in size. Obviously, in addition to or prior to any final planning board approval of this project, we're going to need some variances from the zoning board. Basically, looking at lot size, some relief relative to the flag lot and the street frontage, and also the lot width of the lot that we're creating in the front. This may sound a little bit familiar, as I think last year I was before the board for 143 South Road, which is in the same, just a little bit across the street. Similar type situation, subdivision needed variances. We went and got the variances. We came back and got the final approval here as well. So, and also a number of years ago, 42 Aspetuck Point Road, which is also in this vicinity of this property, was also subdivided in a similar manner. So that's, in a nutshell, what we're looking to do.
So the pool is going on to lot 2.
Yes. So that may engender a variance as well, but I'm not 100% certain about that.
With setbacks or?
Well, it's in a it would be in a required, well, I guess we get to choose our front yard in that rear lot, so it could be, I guess we could designate that as the rear yard.
And you've got a cabana that's 6 feet from the lot line.
Right. But that's, I think, an existing condition. That's not a condition created by the subdivision.
What is the little 2-story frame building on the property?
That's the structure I was referring to that was originally characterized as a residence, then it was recharacterized by a zoning board as a cottage, and then more recently characterized as an accessory apartment by the zoning board.
So that's what it is?
That's what it is now, yes.
the properties to the east, they don't look to be, they look to be undersized also?
Yes, this is, I
Was
think.
that through, do you know if that was through planning board process, or were they put in before zoning was established?
That I don't know. That I don't know. But that was basically the presentation that we made to the zoning board on 143 South Road, and I believe it was the same concept for 42 Aspetuck Point Road, that the neighborhood up until 1972 was 25,000 square foot lots was the requirement. It was upzoned to R40 in 1972. So to the extent that these properties existed prior to 72, they were of a correct size. It's only the upzoning that caused the change or the need for a variance.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the board? Kevin, is there anyone who wishes to speak? We have someone here, please, come up.
My name is Jay Frederick. I happen to be an attorney. The owner of the property is misstated. It's actually the estate of Margaret Frederick now.
The estate of?
The estate of. I was here, this is the second time I'm here in this property. First time I was here, it could be 15, 20 years ago. The owners, that house that I'm now being told is an apartment, was at that time not an apartment. The owners of the house wanted to have that modified so their children could live in it. If you go through the history, you're going to find that the agreement was there would never be a kitchen in that property, and it would not be a rental property. We didn't want a property with two separate residences on it. Now it appears that original zoning approval has been violated. If you look at the map, Margaret's property, as you look at it, is to the left. At one time, if you go and walk the property, you'll see there's a 4-foot regular fence, and they installed a 6-foot deer fence. Before that, there was greenage, there was plantings that actually blocked our properties. Right now, they can look into my pool, and I can look into their pool.
Excuse me, can you tell us where you are on this? Are you,
Yeah, I'm sorry, right here.
okay, got it.
Now, the lots in Beaver Dam, minimum size was what builder's acre. My property is over an acre.
Where the cursor is, right? That's your property?
What?
Your property is where the cursor is right now?
Yeah, where the cursor is, yes,
Okay.
yeah. That's it.
Now, also, I tend to disagree. I think if you go down the street, it appears that, other than the old houses that have been there since possibly the beginning of time, all the new lots, except one that apparently had to be approved, which is a 1/4 acre, which is across the street, which is right on Beaver Dam. They got approval to put up a 5-bedroom, 5-bath house on a 1/4 acre. My primary residence is in Ridgewood, New Jersey. When we moved into Ridgewood, my wife and I, close to 50 years ago, there was wide open spaces. But everyone decided, gee, I have a larger property, why can't I subdivide it? So then all the green space, all the spaces between the houses don't exist anymore. My fear is that the same thing is going to happen in Southampton Township. People come out here because they want space. They want to look at greenery. If you permit this to happen, what will happen is they're going to have to build a house. And I assume that's the building envelope that's on this map. With a pool.
Yeah, the pool is there.
I understand. Now, the people in front are gonna want a pool also. So now you're gonna have more variances. It doesn't make sense that here you have a functioning residence on an approved lot size, and it was purchased for that purpose. So now they say, hey, well, apparently an estate owns this, or a trust owns it. Gee, we now can, if we can get this subdivided, it's a windfall. That's not the purpose of buying a residence. We have zoning, and zoning is there for a specific purpose. If you permit this to happen, then I'm gonna be back the next week and say, gee, I have over an acre, I wanna subdivide it. And then my neighbor is gonna do it. And then someone's gonna wake up and say, gee, we don't wanna do this anymore. Well, if you do it for him, you gotta do it for me. That's fair. That's reasonable. What is more prudent, if you wish to maintain the beauty of Southampton and all the villages and the unincorporated area, you approved a plan. The plan calls for acre-sized lots or builder's lots. Let's keep it at that. That's why they bought it. They should not be permitted to change that.
Mr. Frederick, let me just mention to you that it's not up to this board to give zoning relief. They have to go to the zoning board, and I recommend that you go to the zoning board
I
hearing
absolutely will.
and state your
But I'm looking to
position.
stop the first.
That's the first. I mean, he
All
has
right.
a right to apply, but it has
All
to
right.
go through, in order for him to get a variance to do what he wants to do, they have to go to the zoning
right.
board. So, we hear you.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on Zoom, Kevin?
Nobody.
No one, okay, and no one here. So I'll entertain a motion to close with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by George, second by Tom, all in favor. Opposed, abstentions, 4 in favor, 3 absent. We are
Motion to adjourn.
adjourned. Motion to adjourn by George, so thank you. Second
you.
by Craig, all in favor. Opposed,
Aye.
But you're
abstentions.
reconsidering that for a moment.
Yeah, it's only 4 to 7.
5 in favor,
Hang on.
4 in favor, 3 absent.